Hello and welcome to a new episode of Sunday Night Geek. This is the Big Dirty Nerd, Jeff. We've got the usual crew in the studio tonight. We've got Angel Sky.
Hello.
And we've got Sean.
Ahoy.
And we've got Toby the Wonder Pup.
He's on the floor.
He's on the floor chilling out right now. And you might have noticed that wasn't our usual intro music this evening. I selected the Doctor Who theme by Murray Gold from the new incarnation of the Doctor Who series. That started with Chris Eccleston back in, 2010, 2011, something around there.
Oh, Jason Eccleston?
Yeah,
that was
2000s. Yeah, okay.
I was in Ontario when it started.
Right.
I was in Little Rapids. I could watch it because we had like a TV with like one of the antennas on the chimney.
Yeah. And the reason why we decided to go with that theme this evening is because, unfortunately, this past week, one of our very good friends and a massive Doctor Who fan, Steve Lake, has passed away at the age of 43. He would have been 44 in November. 43 years old. And I don't feel bad for mentioning how he passed away because it was mentioned in his obituary. But Steve had a heart attack. And any contributions that can be made to the Heart Disease Society of Canada are greatly appreciated by the family and any friends of the family. So it's been a very difficult week for a lot of people here in the province and in the convention scene and anybody in the sci-fi scene. Steve was definitely a fixture.
A big part
of everything that was going on.
I don't think I've ever been to a convention in Newfoundland and Steve has not been there.
No, I don't think so either.
He was at Gander when we were
Yep,
there?
he was.
He's been to Gander Geek Fest. He's been to Avalon Expo. I think he's been to Buren Expo. I'm not sure. Yeah. But no matter where you went, Steve was a part of something. He was here at Atlanticon a number of times. I think he missed one.
Yeah, I think he might have missed one.
I think he might have missed one. And then, of course, he was a big part of... So here, the lines are starting to ring already. Give us a moment, folks. We're just going to do a little bit of an introduction here and a little bit of our own honorarium to Steve. Yeah. So just give us a moment here. We'll open up the lines for phone calls in about 10 minutes or so. Yeah. So Steve was a big part of Sci-Fi and the Rock. He was actually the co-chair
for many years.
And he himself and Tara Murphy was the godfather of cons. Darren Hand stepped back for a little bit, and Tara Murphy and Steve Lake stepped in to fill that void, and ran. I think it was for 2 years or 3 years. I'm not entirely sure. It might have been.
I'm sure someone will tell us.
Somebody will definitely tell us. Did a fantastic job, and the I'm trying to think of the word. The you can see how much love everybody had for Steve when somebody just this past week had posted a picture at the end of one of these Sci-Fi on the Rocks called "Everyone Hug Steve," and it was this massive. Here you can see Steve. I mean, Steve was about 5'11", 6 foot tall.
Yeah, about 6 foot.
About 6 foot, and everybody was gathered around Steve, giving him this big hug, and he had this big friggin' grin on his face.
Probably wearing his Doctor Who scarf.
Doctor Who, that 50-foot long Doctor Who scarf. And it was just absolutely amazing picture to see, and he was definitely a unique individual, unique soul, good to everybody.
Yeah,
he was friends. I don't think I've ever heard him say a bad word about anybody.
And,
not a soul.
He talked about his life a lot on Facebook.
He
wasn't afraid to just share his thoughts and his feelings.
Yeah.
He had some struggles.
Yeah,
and he wasn't afraid to talk about them, which was really good.
Yeah,
put it out there.
And he had some dark moments in his life recently. We all know what happened a number of years ago. I'm not going to repeat what it was, but he was very scared of something that happened, and his father passed away just last year.
Yep.
And Steve and I lost my father a couple of years ago, so Steve and I really leaned on each other for that. And I think that was the first time I really saw him angry. Yeah. Like he was angry that his father passed away.
And I remember bringing him shawarma.
And you know what? I had shawarma last night in honor of him.
Yeah. Shawarma
from Luigi's. And every time anybody went from Corner Brook to St. John's, they had to bring me shawarma. Shawarma. And I can remember calling Luigi's and saying, I'm bringing this to St. John's for a friend. And they're like, we're going to eat it after 8 hours in the car. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be put into a cooler, and he's
Yeah.
going to. And he didn't waste any time.
No.
You brought him shawarma, and he would fist into
Yep.
that something fierce. He loved it. He loved Luigi's shawarma.
Yeah.
So there's all these great memories, and I see that the lines are ringing off the hook. The light went again. So I guess my favorite memory of Steve is when we first started doing the podcast Sunday Night Geek. We were all at Sci-Fi on the Rock. I think it was the second year we were doing the podcast.
Okay.
And we were at Sci-Fi on the Rock, and he turned to me and he said, "You want to be on my panel about podcasting?" And I'm like, "Well, I suppose." He said, "Well, come on." He said, "You'll learn something. You'll be able to, talk about some of your experiences as a podcaster and stuff." I'm like, "Well, I'm not really a podcaster. I just get on the radio and talk shit for an hour. It's not like I do this professionally." He's like, "Come on."
Yeah.
He said, "All you really need is a microphone and an idea." He said, "Come on." So we went on the panel, and of course, there's, if I remember correctly, there was me and Steve and 2 other podcasters, and I'm not quite sure if it was Shannon and there was somebody else, but there were 4 of us on the panel, and I remember him repeating, all you really need is a microphone and an idea, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then he calls out all these clamshell cases. He had like 4 clamshell cases, and he opens them up, and I'm like, "What's all this stuff?" He's like, "Oh, this is my recording gear," and it was like a mixer board and something else and 2 microphones.
Oh,
and
my God.
I was like, all I have is a microphone and an idea. But that was my first real ingrained, this guy's going to change my life kind of memory of Steve. So let's move on. So Angela, what about you? I'm sure, and you've actually known Steve longer than I did.
Have I?
Yeah.
Have I really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I first met Steve out at Sci-Fi on the Rock.
Yep.
The first year we went, and he was just friendly. I remember right away, and good guy to talk to. Like, he talked about anything, kind of thing. He used to come to some of the parties and stuff like that we had in our hotel room.
Those crazy
room parties. And I remember hanging out, like, because he always got a hotel too. Hanging out, and he had that drive full of things, like all kinds of sci-fi episodes and sci-fi, like Doctor Who and Star Trek and everything.
Right.
And he used to hook it up to the TV in his hotel room, and it was like just like you hang out and you like watch shows.
Watch a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Sean, what about yourself?
Oh,
I know Steve was big into retro gaming and retro stuff as well.
Well,
so.
I mean, like, we talk about it a lot, like when we just chat about it. But I met him at AtlantaCon here the first year that I went, and like we kept in touch ever since. And he started getting into streaming and that, and he'd ask me a couple things, just in general ideas and that, and I'd help him. And I was like, "Yeah, you don't really need to invest much or anything like that when you going into video. Just any $20 webcam, whatever." And he always would come over to the area that I'd set up at AtlantaCon there for the retro gaming and stuff like that. And I think he even took in a little bit of it while we had it set up in that. But I remember him being at actually our place. My old place before we moved in together.
Oh, okay.
And we did a Sunday night there after AtlantaCon, and he was there, and you were there, and
a couple other
people were there, and we just I made pizza.
I know he used to play Minecraft a lot too.
He played Minecraft a lot.
He was a big Minecraft person. I think he had a server, pretty sure.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
He did. And he played with a few people. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
He had his nice little enthusiast little server
for
Minecraft he really enjoyed. He'd stream some gaming sometimes.
He did some streaming on Twitch and stuff as well. Yeah, he was really getting hardcore into that last year and a half.
Yeah, he was trying to grow his channel and stuff.
Yeah.
It's getting there, actually.
Definitely getting there. Okay, so we're going to open up the line now, and folks, we only have one line available, so call in. And I know some people have said they're going to call in, and I'm sorry, we've seen a couple calls come through already, but we wanted to we wanted to have our opportunity to remember Steve a little bit as well. So call in now. We'll get you on the air. Tell us who you are and your memory of Steve.
And if the line is busy, just wait a few minutes. Try again.
Yeah, we're going to give as many people as they want to get a chance to call in. So give us a call at 632
5555. And that's a 709 area code for anybody outside of the corner work area.
That's right, 709.
There we go.
Okay, so here's our first caller. So we'll get this person on the air. Thank you for calling Sunday Night Geek. You're on the air with the Big Dirty Nerd, Angel Sky, and Sean, as remember Steve Lake this evening.
Hello, everybody at the Big Dirty Nerd. Jeff, it's Shannon. How you doing?
Good, Shannon. How are you?
Hey.
I'm doing good, buddy. I mean, I don't know. I'm doing as well as anybody can be expected under the circumstances. I want to, give sorrow out to everybody and condolences to everybody who knew Steve. And it seems like that's everybody in Newfoundland, basically. So everybody knew Steve. I used to joke that, Steve is very much the 6 degrees of Steve Lake in Newfoundland. Like everybody somewhere or another knew the fellow,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And Shannon, you had the pleasure of working with him on the Who Storian podcast, which you guys did for a very long time. It was a very popular podcast as well.
Yes, thank you. Well, I mean, that was an outgrowing of the fanzine from years ago. I was involved in the local Doctor Who club here in Newfoundland back in the 90s, and the magazine was called The Historian. So it broke up because the people that were involved got older and they moved away. So that connection wasn't there anymore, and I missed it. And I had been doing a podcast previously, and I sat down one day with Steve, and I mean I knew he was a Doctor Who fan, but I didn't know just the depth of knowledge that he had even then. So earlier you were talking about how all you need is a mixer and all you need is equipment, and that's what it was with Steve. As soon as I mentioned it and put the idea in his head, he was like, let's go full bore. And he didn't just sit down and plug stuff in. He learned how to do editing. He learned how to do professional sounding quality. He put all of his efforts into it. He put a significant amount of money into it, and over time it became just I just had to sit down and just start talking. That was my end of the bargain. Sit down and start talking, because he did everything else. So yeah, we did the show for almost 10 years roughly.
Oh wow, yeah.
With gaps in between, and if life events happened, but it was. I can't even describe to you. I wouldn't be able to summarize just how many memories I have and how many good moments I had both on and off camera with him, and the doors he opened for me, and the the people I've met and talked to thanks to Steve and his passion for not just Doctor Who but all things nerdy. It's a significant loss. He was a pioneer in many ways in so many things with the gaming communities, and I mean, there's so many different communities right now that are expressing their sorrow, like from the local wrestling to you guys out there, and he touched so many lives so many ways. He was just such a gregarious, good guy, and just big-hearted fellow with a love for everything and everybody.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, he I guess in some kind of parlance, he had his fingers in the pies of everything that was going on.
Jack of all trades.
He was a jack of all trades, and he was well loved. Like he was very well loved. Like everything that he got involved with, he, like you said, he put himself fully into it.
He did, he did.
Whether it be podcasting, whether it be the wrestling scene, which I believe, if you can help me out here a little bit, Shannon, that's where he got his moniker of Stylin' Steve Lake, right? Was with the wrestling scene.
I'm not 100% certain. I can tell you that when I first met him in the late 90s, the friends I had at the time were involved with local wrestling, so that's kind of how I met him. Okay. He was Stylin' Steve Jackson was the ring name he went by. Right, yeah. So, but the Stylin' Steve part, that's kind of where it all began. He'd wear like a fedora to the ring, and he'd just be a very serious-minded announcer and stuff, and that became his trademark, so I think that was the first time he really got into speaking in public, I suppose.
Yeah, and could he ever speak in public? That was one of his big strengths. He didn't mind getting up in front of the crowd and motivating them and having saying what he had to say. Definitely, and like you said, he was definitely a pioneer in a lot of different ways with the podcasting scene, with the wrestling scene, with the sci-fi geeky scene. He definitely was out there.
He spawned so many podcasts of You mentioned earlier how he encouraged you. He did that to a lot of people. There's people that. My friend Jonathan Mallard from the Odd to Newfoundland podcast. I mean, he began that, as an outgrowth of the Historian, and it was through Steve's knowledge and his expertise and even his equipment a lot of the time that was like the spawning part for so many other podcasts. So that's why I call him a pioneer, because nobody else was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They weren't, and and you definitely said it right. He encouraged a lot of people. He definitely was not what we call today a gatekeeper. If somebody was interested in a topic or wanted to get involved with Doctor Who or Star Trek, he would be the first one to say, here's a library of stuff to go and watch to get involved. And if you have any questions, come to me, and we will sit down, have a drink, and talk. And that's the way Steve was.
That's exactly right.
You know,
Steve definitely loved to drink too.
He liked to have his drink. We'd see the pictures from the 8-bit retreat every year.
Yeah.
Oh, the screech. The screech.
That's a legendary thing. Yeah,
that's a legendary thing, and I'm sure those guys are mourning this evening as well. So it's it's a significant loss.
Like when I'm right now running the Facebook page for this story, and I can tell you that I'm receiving messages from, people are all around the world, because people who don't know Steve as a person, they know him as a personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I'm getting just all kinds of condolences, and people who will tell me their memories of, I would load up episodes of your podcast on a train or something, or, on my way to work and things like that. And there's so many people who, there were Steve-isms, you know what I mean? Like people will say, I'll miss him saying that, or I'll miss him saying this, and I'll miss the banter between the two of you. But it's not just that. It's Steve, as you say, he was so open to everybody. He was not a gatekeeper at all. He wanted to share the love and passion that he had for the things that he was passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's amazing that he's, not just touched people's hearts locally, but internationally as well. Like, because with the podcast, you can reach an unlimited amount of people. And to hear that, you're receiving messages from abroad is truly, truly significant. And, wow, like that's an even bigger impact than I thought.
It's a big deal. It's definitely a big deal.
That's fantastic.
I would argue that he was, in many ways, if you look at the old graphics, sometimes we would do video shows, and we'd put them on YouTube. And I've always argued that the old graphics, even back then, about 2011, they surpassed what was on the go with NTV and stuff. Like he put so much into not just the audio, but the video production. He was a perfectionist, and he wanted to put out the best quality work he could do, and the most broad appeal he could get. But you're right. Yeah, he had a smile for everybody. He was the life of any party, and he was the life of any convention, for sure.
And he never tripped over that 50-foot scarf.
Yeah. Well, not in public.
Not in public, no, that's for sure.
Not sober.
Not sober.
Not sober.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks, Shannon, for calling in. I'm glad to hear from you, brother.
Yes, you too. And listen, I want to thank you guys for doing this, because it's a really good thing you're doing, and you're giving people a platform to speak openly about their feelings and their memories of like a really good dude, man. So thanks all to you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Shannon. Have a great evening, brother, and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. And that was Shannon Lush, who was co-host with Steve on the Whostorian podcast, like he said, for a number of years. I would argue probably one of Steve's best friend.
Yeah.
They did a lot together, I believe.
I don't know
they
if
were actually cousins.
I don't know if Shannon knew him the longest, but it seemed that way.
It's certainly seemed that way.
Yeah.
It certainly seemed that way, yeah. So I'm starting to get messages coming here on Messenger now, so let me just see
if there's anything that someone wants us to read.
Actually, I just saw a message. Okay. I've got a message here from Carla Edwards, who is Steve's sister. So she wrote and said, "Hi, Jeff. I'm Steve's sister. I really want to thank you for doing the radio show about Steve tonight. You're very welcome. I feel it's the very least we could have done.
Very least.
I'm enjoying listening to you all talk about him. Mom knit the scarf. It is 20 feet long.
20 feet long. Nice.
Lord.
Nice.
20 feet long. And he would wear that thing around his neck, like in the middle of the hottest days of the conventions.
Yeah.
I'd be there with like shorts and a t-shirt on, sweating like a pig, and he'd come around the corner with this great big 20-foot long scarf.
He's had it since at least first Atlanticon.
At least that's 10 years.
Because there's a picture Sheldon shared. Our friend Sheldon shared with him in a picture with us with the scarf on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So thank you, Carla, very much for that.
Thank you.
Steve was one of my absolute best friends. I used to talk to him pretty much daily. It was only in the last 6 or 7 months, I think, when I got very busy with a new job that we didn't talk every day, but we always used to send each other little quips and comments and memes and stuff. So.
I'll miss his. One thing that I think I'll miss the most about Steve is the winter with his forecasting.
Oh my God, the forecasting was priceless.
With his weather machine.
But the weather machine. He'd write this book.
Yeah.
of minions going out and,
Yep.
and looting all these businesses because the weather machine was broken. And oh God, wow, I had forgotten all about
weather
that.
machine?
The weather machine.
Yeah, it always made me laugh.
Oh,
I used to have to
yeah.
drive to work in the middle of snowstorms,
Yeah.
and I'd read that, and that'd be a chuckle.
Yeah, that would absolutely be a chuckle. So, folks, the one line is open right now. So, give us a call. We're going to continue to talk about Steve for the next 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
40 minutes? 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes.
40-ish.
40 minutes or so. And I'm going to do it now so I don't forget to end the show. The family and friends, the family are having a celebration of Steve's life. There's the line. I'm going to get to this. I want to get
And
people
then
on the
we'll,
air, and then we'll tell everybody about that. So we're going to get to this right now. Thank you for calling Sunday Night Geek. You're on the air with Jeff, Angela, and Sean. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you? Who is this?
This is Jenna.
Jenna.
Hey.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing as good as can be expected, I suppose, with the news.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking for sure.
Oh,
that
definitely.
Steve
I
has
was
passed
definitely
away.
blown out of the water by the news.
A little bit unbelievable.
Oh, I'm still in shock.
I know.
Yeah, and I would argue to say that a lot of people are in shock, and we're going to be in shock for a long time because Steve was a
Very
young man.
unexpected.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Jenna, tell us one of your memories of Steve.
My favorite memory of Steve, I think it was the first time I ever met him. I think it was at one of the after parties for Atlanticon. I think it might have been the first time I ever met him.
Oh, really?
And he didn't even introduce himself. He just walked up with this napkin rose that he made.
Oh.
And I came to find out that this was one of his famous bar tricks.
Oh, what was it? What was his
This
bar
is
trick?
how he introduced himself to me. So he handed me this napkin rose, and he said, "My name is Steve. I want to be your friend."
Really?
Really?
Oh.
Now, that's the first time I've heard this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is sweet and adorable. Just like Steve.
He was absolutely such a beautiful person inside and out.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I'll never forget when we had Carla Perez at Atlanticon, Rita Repulsa,
Yep.
and he screeched her in.
Yes.
He was our screecher.
Yes, he was.
He said to me afterward, he said, "I want to thank all you guys for letting me do this. This is going to be one of my favorite memories for the rest of my life."
Yeah.
And just looking back now, it makes me realize how much we take things for granted.
Yes, absolutely we do.
But I'm completely heartbroken.
Yeah.
I just wanted to call in and share my memories and just reach out and see how everybody was doing.
We're all doing fine, Jenna. Thank you very much for your call. Steve, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. Like, Steve was a big part of everybody's lives. And once you got to know him, he was your friend.
Absolutely. He was everybody's friend.
Everybody's friend, and that was it. And I had never heard that story before. That's the most awesome thing. Like, I'm Steve, I want to be your friend. Boom. That was it. That was the man right there.
That was Steve as a person.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
just
that's
wanted
amazing.
to share that story because, I mean, like you said, not everybody knows that part of Steve. Everybody knows different parts of him in their life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
I think
I just wanted to share my little part.
I think we all have that little part of Steve now. I think,
And we'll carry that with us for the rest of our lives.
Exactly. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. And Jenna, you said one thing that really struck a chord with me is we don't take things we take things for granted that people are always going to be there, and we don't tell them how we feel about them or the impact they've had on our lives. I think it's, we need to do more about that, telling people how we feel. And Jenna, I think it's safe to say that we all love you. You are an amazing person as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Steve could always pick the good friends, and if he picked you as a friend, you're a good friend.
Thank you so much. That means so much. And guys, I know that at the end of every convention, Steve would go around and hug everybody. Before he left.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody to hug themselves tonight and think about Steve and hug the ones around you and keep them close.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much for calling, Jenna.
All right, guys, have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Oh, my heart feels a little heavy again now, right? Like
That's the thing about Steve too. Like, I didn't talk to him much outside like conventions when we saw him that way, but like you could go there and you could pick up right where you left off. There was no awkward of, well, I haven't talked to him in like a year. Right? When he saw you at the convention, it was like, hey, how you doing? You know, what's up with you? What's new? You know, and you just chat for a little bit.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way it was. I always made it a point whenever I landed in St. John's to see two people.
Don't even go there, Jeff.
Two people.
Jeff, that is one of my biggest regrets.
Not going to Sci-Fi on the Rock?
No, not seeing Steve while I was at my meeting in St. John's. I went to a meeting out in St. John's, and I was at the hotel, and it was, you messaged me, and you were like, hey, Steve, Steve's around the corner from you. You should go, see him at his hotel.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's late, and, and he'll be out for Atlanticon in the fall, and never got to see him.
Oh, my God, I had no idea.
I forgot you were just, not too far.
Wow.
Yep.
That,
I was late, and I was like, well, I got meetings in the morning, and, early.
Yeah.
I'm just going to chill because I've been traveling all day.
And you look back on it, it's not a fault thing, but, because you don't know.
No.
You don't know. No.
Like, you called me, and I was like, what in the world? Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, because I never call you out. We always text.
Because that's what I said, and you were like, he was like, who's that? And I was like, Jeff. Like, he's like, calling you. And I was like, yeah, man, like.
Speaking of.
Another caller.
Another caller coming in there?
Yep.
I didn't see the light. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Thank you for calling Sunday Night Geek. You're on the air with the Big Dirty Nerd, Angel Sky, and Sean. Tell us who you are and what your memory of Steve is.
It's me, Crystal.
Hi.
Crystal.
Hey, dearie.
Hi, how's it going? Yes, the best I can be, I suppose.
Best it can be, and we're getting a little bit emotional here now. So it's getting we're half an hour into it, and it's getting teary-eyed and misty right now. So we're going to make it through. How about you? How are you doing?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, best that we can at this time. Like, man, it's just when like everyone else, I was just completely blown away. I mean, that's the last person that you would think of as something like that would happen to, right? It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. No, but Steve, no. Man, I actually met Steve probably in the early 2000s. He used to work in tech support, and that's basically where I met him.
Right, that was at Convergys, right?
It was at Convergys, yes.
I think we were all there at the same time.
Most likely, yes. That's where everyone met. Oh,
yes.
My God.
Yeah.
No, and I don't remember. I was walking on the floor or whatnot, but there he was. It was like, oh, hey, we just hit it off, with geek and nerd stuff. But video games is the main thing that hit it off, right? Yeah. But when we left Convergys, it's kind of, we didn't really lose connection with each other. But Sci-Fi and the Rock, oh my goodness, that when I ran into him, I was like, we both screamed at each other, oh my God, it's you.
And like we were just saying, that's the way it always was with Steve. It didn't matter if you hadn't spoken in months or years. If he knew you, and he would say hello.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he was crazy busy, so we didn't really have much time to really talk or catch up. I was walking around with the cat puppet, the IBT cat puppet, right? Yeah. I asked if he didn't want to participate in the whole question video thing, right? And he said no. He said it's actually really interesting, but he had to leave, right? He was just his head was cut off, running around right busy, right?
Yes.
But the thing about Steve though that I will never ever forget is his dry wit. I think he really.
My God. The stuff that came out of that man's mouth.
I know, and it could be the most
funny
random thing.
Random.
And I think he applied that. I'm pretty sure he applied that to some of the calls he did with customers, too, back in Convergys and tech support, right? But you can tell that the customers enjoyed it, right? I mean, they're there to get help with their internet, but he would just walk them through it, no problem. But no, his public speaking at Sci-Fi and the Rock, too, doing Geek Survivor, and when he do closing ceremonies. The one moment I'll never forget, though, I think it was Sci-Fi and the Rock 10 during the opening ceremonies. And the pride he took in, the work that the whole team did with the convention. I saw him getting very emotional with the video that they have for opening ceremonies, and that hit me that this was something very, very special that he and everyone else worked hard on, and they just wanted to bring people together with their, as he said, let your geek flag fly.
Yes, that was his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, shout out to him, Steve, man, you're never going to be forgotten, man.
No.
Never.
No.
You made everyone smile. You made everyone laugh. You're making us cry, but we still love you, man.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. He'll never be truly gone, and I'm sure going forward, anybody that does anything in the geek community, whether it be a convention or a gaming event or something, there's always going to be that memory of Steve where it's going to be, this is in honor of Steve.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No matter what, this is in honor of Steve, because he was just so prolific in the entire community.
Yeah. And I'm so glad he was able to go to sci-fi. I'm glad sci-fi and The Rock came back just in time.
Yes.
If you able to go to it one more time, have a blast, and I like to think that at least he was having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to say my word about him, because he was the best, man. Local legend.
Local legend. There you go. He was definitely a local legend.
Local legend.
Local legend. Well, thank you for calling in, Crystal.
Yeah, well, keep up the good work, man.
Well, hopefully we'll get some more people calling in now, and we'll share some more memories about Steve. So that's my goal. That's our goal, not just mine. That's our goal.
Yes. And he loved the whole, actually that reminds me too, because streaming was when he was getting into it too, right? I looked up to him for streaming because he was doing that a lot longer than I was.
Oh, really? I thought you had been doing it for a number of years, but
no.
Okay.
I only got into streaming I think it's been just over a year now. But no, he's been doing it longer than I have. And he would show off the pictures of his equipment and microphones, and oh my God, yeah. Oh no, and same thing with YouTube. Now we did talk to each other on YouTube. I was doing YouTube for a long time.
Yes.
But no, streaming he was. Yeah, I would look up to him so much for that. So it's going to be sad now not to be able to talk to him anymore about equipment and what the schedule is going to be. But he will always be there.
Yes, he will be.
Always
he's always going to be. He's always going to be there, staring at us.
Yeah, and he's going to like it too. He's going to be saying something, some dry wit the commentary, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Only way he can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always there.
But
and
anyway, But anyway, thanks so much for what you guys are doing. This is great. We can all just share our memories.
That's
of
great.
The man himself.
Yes, the local legends.
Yep, local legends.
All right, thank you very much for calling in. You have a great evening.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
And take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the impact he had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually reminded me of the kind of things that he did stuff, like Shannon said earlier, to perfection. Because I can remember not that long ago, another call. Never mind.
Jumped in feet first.
He jumped in feet first and learned stuff. Okay, here we go. Here's another call coming in. Thank you for calling Sunday Night Geek. You're on the air with the Big Dirty Nerd, Angel Sky, and Sean. Tell us who you are and what your memory of Steve is.
Girls going crazy about a sharp-dressed man.
And who's this?
Well, when I first met Steve, you would call me the Green Machine, Johnny Chaos.
Oh, Johnny Chaos. How are you, buddy?
And then later on, as time went on, I decided to stop body slamming men into oblivion and started to see if we really were going to be oblivion when we died as a ghost hunter, a paranormal investigator. And all throughout my many, many years here in Newfoundland, Steve has always been a background player and a dear friend of mine, and absolutely crushed by the loss of Steve Lake.
Yes.
And, for anybody who don't know, my name's John Mallard. I'm an old friend of Steve's. Very old friend of Steve. This guy used to come to my house parties back when I was 20, 21.
Oh, so it's a long-term relationship you guys had.
Oh, big time. And, I remember Steve as a lot of things. The hopeless romantic is definitely one.
Yep.
I think Steve was openly lonely. And, I hope he went to his grave a little more happy and a little bit more open. He recently came out, so I think that was a big thing for Steve.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of knew, but he kind of gets to himself for the most part, I do believe. Anyway, I got many, many memories of Steve. I've wrestled hundreds of matches in Newfoundland, and of course, Styling Steve was the first time I met him was actually Prince of Wales Arena. He was working for Cutting Edge Wrestling at the time, and I was in NCW, or Newfoundland Championship Wrestling, and for whatever reason, he just got into our ring and was allowed to get in there and just say hi to everyone from Cutting Edge. It was just the most bizarre thing ever back then, and it was just like so cool to kind of meet him and say hey, because as a rule of thumb, we don't go to each other's wrestling shows, for the most part, because back then it was taboo. You weren't allowed to do that. You weren't supporting competition.
Yeah, that's right.
And Steve was just such a gentleman. Even then, he walked in, he had the fedora on, the classic style, and Steve look, the trench coat has it all going on.
Oh my God, you're bringing back the memories now, man.
Yeah, he went in the ring and he went to everyone and he just said, he praised everyone there, and then he turned to me and said, Johnny, I've never seen you wrestle or any of your matches, but I've heard good things. So, even with someone he never knew, he always did his best to make him feel good.
Yeah.
And, that was my first run-in with Steve. Many, many, many matches in NCW went and came and gone. But eventually CW, NCW teamed up, and I was very, very blessed to have him as an announcer for many shows. I wrestled a bunch of independent shows here in Newfoundland as well, and Steve was a go-to announcer for a lot of these places. Old bar shows downtown, man, that was like his thing.
Right.
And you look up at the little DJ booth, and there'd be Steve up there laughing at you, waving, right, giving you a finger, whatever you got to do. Right? And his favorite thing to do would be to pick his nose and look at you and pretend to wipe it on one of these good-looking women, and he was that type of guy. Super shy back then, but not really. Yeah.
He definitely had a personality. He had that persona, right? He switched the personas on. And then when you see him after something, after a con, or in your case, after a show, he'd switch it off and become totally Steve Lake, I'm cool.
I can remember being at my house, this is, I think I was on a hiatus from wrestling at this point, having a house party, and he just came over and was out drinking whiskey, just hanging out with me, and, he's just like, okay, Johnny, so how do you do it? I said, do what? He said, you always got a girlfriend, how do you do it? And, he had those conversations with me, later down the road. I really looked at him as a mentor in a lot of ways. Obviously, I failed with him for all them women, but I think for the most part, though, he was always a mentor to me. You'll hear a lot of people talk about how he'd give you his honest opinion and support you, even if it sounded crazy. He'd be like, yeah, you know what? No. I think you should drive 8 hours out to Atlanticon, even though you have high anxiety. I think it's a great idea.
He would encourage people to do that. Yeah, absolutely, he would.
And I think about all the lives he touched and how many people he brought together. When wrestling ended for me, I kind of didn't see him around for a long time. And then I got involved with sci-fi. Shortly thereafter, I realized, oh my God, sure, Steve Lake's in here? And I didn't know he was a part of this. And as soon as he saw me at sci-fi, I'll never forget it, man. Big yellow shirt, just chair on it, the great big scarf, the Doctor Who scarf on, right? Yep. Big fedora. Walks over and he's like, give me a big sweaty con stink hug. I haven't seen you in so long. And I was like, oh, Jesus, God, Steve, what does it smell? He's like, it's shawarma. And,
it all comes back to the shawarma, man.
Shawarma.
100%. He's got a lot of my memories and stuff in my mind. And, of course, he was a contributor to something that was just so special to me, which was my first book. And, when I self-published that book, everyone looked at me like I was a lunatic, you're throwing money away, this is going to be a big thing, there's people who want this now, they can't wait to read it. And I was like, you know what, no, I'm going to go the local route, and I'm going to get my good friend to edit it for me. And the funny thing was, when I went to go do the sequel, he was like, I'm not editing it for you. I was like, why? He goes, it was too hard last time. I was like, and he goes, John, by the way, cannot 2 words. But, he had a love for the paranormal as well. And,
yes, he did.
I was so happy to immortalize him, so to speak. Poor old Shannon Lush, he's got a lot of recordings of Steve, obviously, with the Who podcast. So the Who story was such a big deal. But I've got him, too.
That's right, you do.
And I'm going to remaster those 2 episodes. It just so happens right now I'm actually 6 hours out of St. John's. I'm actually closer to you. I'm here now at Blue Canoe.
Oh.
Here on a family vacation when I found out Steve passed.
Yeah.
So it was, I'm so glad I had a chance to call in with you guys because I had no one to talk to about it, really.
Yeah, and it's been really difficult for anybody that's not immediately accessible. I mean, you know, we can all talk about it a little bit, but to be able to get together and like share our memories, even in this format, you know, is something absolutely fantastic, right?
No doubt,
Yeah.
and something he would have loved. He
would have loved
I'm
this.
telling you right now.
Yeah.
For once, our audio will actually work, and everything will go very smoothly tonight because I know he's watching over your stuff for you.
That's what he's doing. Well, that's why the buttons are here moving by themselves. He's adjusting my levels as we're talking.
And not only that, Steve, he's being very, very, very anal about it. One of my favorite Steve quotes. I want to keep it too long, as I know there's a lot of people probably trying to call in.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite quotes I ever got from him was when we did just a live spirit box session at Sci-Fi on the Rock many years ago.
Yeah, I think I was there for that actually.
Yeah, this was really, really cool. And but anyway, long story short, we went a ghost hunting, and what ended up happening was I just could not get the audio to work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was. I couldn't run the cords right or something like that. And I was like texting him a message to him, right? And he was like, "I'm too busy to come right now." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I'm doing trivia, and I'm not leaving it ever." He's like, "Screw your spirit box." The dry wit was always there.
Always there.
Oh man, and like, Crystal just called me. Like, I was listening to what she said, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Like, there were so many times that he just said stuff that was just completely out of the blue, and but you know, a true friend, friend. One of the last times I hung out with Steve actually was last year. He came over to the house, and you know, we just kind of hung out and we're chatting and stuff like that. And he was very very happy to be back on the workout train. So I was helping him do some different moves and stuff like that to help him stretch and everything. Because back in the day, even though I need a personal trainer now, I had my own health scare back in January, and I put on a lot of weight. But that's beside the point. You know, I couldn't save Steve. I couldn't save him. And you know, when I heard he had a massive heart attack, I think it's an absolute shock to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I figured it would have been sleep apnea would have got him, but just absolute shocker.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget my good buddy.
Yeah.
I love him so much, and I miss him so much.
Yeah, we all do, man. And you know, if you ever need to reach out and talk about him, I'm here all the time.
Like, I would talk to this guy once a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes call him on his birthday. I called him every year.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing I just did then. I called in and started singing "Sharp Dressed Man." And I said,
well, that's the kind of memories that make it all worthwhile.
And the
right?
conversation would always be the same thing. I'd say, "Did you get laid yet?" And he'd say, "No." And he'd say, "And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you."
Yeah, that's right. I don't think he'd tell us. I don't think he'd tell anybody.
And no, probably not.
No.
And you know, I'm certainly going to miss my good friend.
Yes.
He was excellent to everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of relieved there wasn't a funeral service.
Yeah.
Because I can't get to it. I'm too far away.
Yeah.
But this is fine. This is fine.
Well, I'm glad that you called in, John. Sharing those memories is certainly quite therapeutic for everybody who's listening, for sure.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back now. It just so happens I got my computer with me.
There you go.
I just put up an episode. I got an episode coming out tomorrow, and I had to drive to I can't remember the name of it now. Oh God, someplace close to Blue Canoe where I could find the Wi-Fi.
Jeez.
The Burnt Berry Inn.
Oh, the Burnt Berry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, "I'm close, but you can use the Wi-Fi." I'm like, "All right." And I went in and I uploaded an episode, but for tomorrow. But in mid-month next month, for anybody who's really missing the sound of his voice, I'm going to re-release our episode. Steve was actually the third episode of my podcast. I ever did all the way back in 2014.
Wow.
And I had him on again about 4 years ago with his dear friend Shannon,
right.
and as a historian nod. So I'm going to remaster those episodes, make them sound right purty and almost as anal as he is about.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible to be as anal as what Steve was about his recordings.
Yeah, I was like, Steve, how do I make it sound like NTV? He's like, first you got to spend $2,000 on crazy equipment like me. He's like, and he always made fun of himself in a way though. He's like, sure, I got no youngsters. He'd say stuff like that. And, but I do know that there was a part of him that was so lonely, and it just breaks my heart to know that there could have been more for him. Yeah. But anyway, that voice of his is going to be immortalized forever. And I also got all my old wrestling tapes of him announcing me to the ring. So there you go. I got a lot of stuff there.
You got a lot of Steve Lake content.
I do.
That's great, man. That's great.
I got a lot of Steve Lake tent.
Yeah, Steve Lake tent. There you go.
Anyway, I'll let you go.
All right.
I know you probably got a lot of callers there.
We've been doing pretty good, I got to say. Nice steady stream of people calling in, so that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I tried to call in right at 7:30 like 3 or 4 times, but no one answered, so I'm thinking you probably weren't up yet.
Well, we actually started at 7:30. We were just doing our own little flashbacks of Steve first.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I screwed up. I thought it was 7.
No, that's okay, buddy. That's okay. Don't let it happen again, though.
Oh, man. I got the survivor's guilt, I think.
Yeah, I think kind of we all do. That was one of the things that kind of hit me when I heard the news. It was kind of like, why, right? Like, and that's all I could think of for the better part of Thursday when I found out Thursday morning, which is why, right?
I was so sick in January. I got a really weird perspective on it. I was like, how?
Yeah.
Because like with me, it's just like I like just almost died in January. So I'm like, what the hell? And then I was like, this can't be real. I thought I was dreaming at first. Yeah. I swear to God, I was looking at my phone late at night, and I was like, huh?
Yeah.
No. And then I messaged Adam and was just like, man, like, what's going on? And he was like, oh, yeah, this is what happened. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
So it's the survivor's guilt for sure for anybody who's had a near death themselves, and now it's just my friend got taken away, and I don't understand it. I'll never understand it.
No.
I remember a quote for Punisher. Now he'll love this one too, right? When the 2004 Punisher with Thomas Jane, John Travolta, and it was just a horrible movie, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And right in the middle of the movie, he goes, "Buenos dias, Castle. Go with God." And Thomas Jane looks down at the guns and the rug, and he goes, God's going to sit this one out. And I got a feeling like God decided to sit this one out for him. Yeah. And I don't know why or what. I got a lot of questions for God pertaining to childhood cancer and why he took my buddy away from me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure all will be revealed. In a way, the mystery's been solved for Steve. I'm going to spirit box now probably in the next couple of days or so, see if I can get something. And if I get anything at all, I'll let you know.
If you do, yes, I absolutely want to know.
I'm too scared to do it yet.
Yeah.
Still too in shock.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, guys, thanks for taking the call. You guys take care.
You too. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, there you go, right? Like, I think we're all got that little bit of survivor's guilt right now. That why? Like I got the call Thursday morning. Darren Hand called me. Actually, Darren Hand messaged me. I had been sick this week, and another call. And Darren Hand messaged me and said, "Give me a call." And when he told me, I dropped my phone. I was in shock. All right, let's get this next caller on the line. Thank you for calling Sunday Night Geek. You're on the air with the Big Dirty Nerd, Angel Sky, and Sean. Tell us your name and your memory of Steve, please.
Hey, guys. My name is John Bennis. I'm a member of the 8-Bit Mafia that holds the annual 8-Bit Retreat.
Yes. Hi, John. How are you?
As good as can be expected. Just wanted to call in and say thank you guys very much for the show. It's great to hear all these people from different aspects of Steve's life coming together and sharing their memories. And I think he'd absolutely be flabbergasted at the outpouring of love and emotion. We're all taking it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Especially considering how we just had our annual retreat back on July 15th.
Yeah. Wasn't long ago at all. And I mean, there have been pictures of Steve, sitting around the fire and having a drink and laughing, and
Yeah, it was so much fun, as it always is. And Steve looks forward to this weekend pretty much all year, just like we always do. Yeah. We were all devastated to receive the news of his passing, and we say it, we're a big dysfunctional family, and we lost a brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll always remember him for what he was, and that was a kind soul who made friends everywhere he went.
Yeah.
All of us were lucky enough to call him our brother, and we think of him every day with fondness.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we got one last retreat in with him.
Yeah.
And if we had to have known that less than a week later we'd be saying goodbye, we probably would have drank a little bit longer, probably would have drank a little bit more, talked a little bit deeper, and hugged a little bit tighter. We're all better for knowing him, and we all miss him.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to say, on behalf of everybody in the 8-Bit group, thank you very much for pulling this show together. John Mallard, if you're still listening, buddy, if you need to speak about any of this, when you get back St. John's, buddy, you know where I am. You know where the rest of us are. John's a very good friend of ours. He's been around the wrestling scene with all of us for quite some time. And that goes for anybody who knows Steve and just needs to talk. The majority of us are on Facebook.
And that's something else that speaks to what Steve would have wanted as well, because Steve was very much about, speaking to your friends about how you feel, and
about
if you
your
need
mental health,
definitely about your mental health.
About your mental health, definitely.
So I mean, to hear you say that, John, and to make that invitation to anybody that needs to talk at this time, that's fantastic. Steve would have absolutely loved you for that.
Absolutely,
and no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to take up any more time, guys, mainly because I don't want to cry on the air.
I don't blame you. We're trying not to do it here ourselves.
You guys enjoy the rest of your show. I'm really enjoying hearing the memories, and thank you very much from the bottom of my heart again.
Thank you for calling, John, and take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And there you go. Like, that's another impact that Steve had on everybody's lives. Like, he brought people together, and there goes the phone again. So let's get this caller on the air. We're quickly running out of time here, though, so this might be our last call, but we'll see if we can get one more in before this show ends. Thank you for calling Sunday Night Geek. You're on the air with the Big Dirty Nerd, Angel Sky Cosplay, and Sean the Tech Ninja. Tell us your name and what your memory of Steve is.
Barry Cruz.
Hi, Barry. How are you?
Good, man.
Good.
Steve, me and Steve were best buddies from the time we were 15 years old.
Oh, wow. So here we go. We've got an old school gangster going on here with Steve. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Steve was part of our 8-Bit family.
Yeah.
Man, you couldn't ask for a better guy.
No.
You really
absolutely
couldn't.
Not. Yeah.
And it's funny, we all had a little get-together last night at our friend John's house there, and a lot of the guys that we haven't seen in years were all by, and we're just sitting there telling stories. And one of the stories it's going to break your guys' heart, because you guys are nerdy tech guys. Steve used to have an original play set in box of Star Trek, The Hull, with James T. Kirk and Hador and all them. This was a big time. Back then it wasn't so much, but then we look back on it, big time dick move.
Yeah.
We decided to open it. It was sealed.
Oh no, you didn't do that. Oh God.
Did.
Okay.
We opened it and we changed all the positions so that Kirk was no longer sitting in the captain's chair, Aurora was, and stuff like that. And we went downstairs and we said, how long do you figure it's going to be until Steve finds out? And within minutes, all you hear is, Mother! And we were like, well, yes, he knows. Yeah. But you know what? He never got angry. He never got mad. He never got, by all rights, he should have came down over the stairs and just, kicked the crap out of us. Yeah. But all he did was he came down over the stairs, and he looks at us and he goes, I wouldn't expect anything any less. And that was it. And that was Steve. Steve, you could do whatever you wanted. You could say whatever you wanted. You could be yourself. He was very accepting. He was very kind. He never had a bad word to say. You couldn't ask for a better person.
No, that's right.
You know, and he done so much for not only the community, but he also reached out and he took the time to reach out to individuals when he knew that they were struggling.
Yeah.
And he was that guy that no matter what, you always thought was going to be there. You know, and it just came as a complete shock.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it certainly did. It took everybody for a loop, that's for sure. And you said it absolutely right. You always thought he was going to be one of the ones that would always be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And knowing that he's gone now is just, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. I've had the last 4 nights I have been able to go to sleep without thinking, what is tomorrow going to be like? He's not around anymore. The last picture I saw of him was just after he had his hair dyed.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently, I think it was just after you guys had your retreat or before you guys had your retreat.
Yeah.
Just after.
Yeah.
He's got to freshen up again.
He got it freshened up again,
He got it freshened up again. That's right. He had it a little bit long and shaggy, and he got himself a nice upkeep, and he got it out nice and dark. And I had stopped down to his work, actually, because I had to pick something up. And we came outside, and we were talking for a bit, and he was just like, all right, we'll be talking. And I was like, yeah, cool, let us know. Something on to go the weekend. And he was like, all right, cool. And,
Yeah.
The wind just got taken out of your sails. I got the phone call. John called me that morning, and
Yeah, it really knocked me for a loop too.
Listen, it's still shocking. You don't. I don't even know what words to say. I didn't even know if I was going to call in, but you know what? I had to.
Yeah.
Because
we thank you for that, sir.
He's he's an intricate part of the puzzle that's now missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and thank you guys for putting this off tonight.
Well, you're very welcome.
We appreciate it, and I'm sure lots of other people appreciate it, and the opportunity to have some closure at a difficult time like these.
Yeah. And it is a difficult time, and like John had actually called in just before you did, and like he said, if anybody needs to reach out, by all means, we're all friends. We all knew Steve. We all love Steve. We're all going to miss Steve.
Yeah.
Reach out. Don't be alone at this time.
Alone.
No, exactly. Yeah, and that's the one thing I can say is keep close to everybody, because that's exactly what Steve would have wanted.
And that's exactly what Steve would have wanted. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, guys, thanks very much.
Thank you for calling in. You have a great evening, and take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And folks, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for taking any new calls right now. We've only got a couple of minutes left here. I did want to remind everybody that there will be a celebration of life tomorrow at the Alt Hotel. In downtown St. John's from 2 to 5.
2 to 5.
And anybody who knew Steve is invited to drop in. I believe it's a come and go kind of thing. Drop in. Remember Steve. Remember the good times he brought all of us. The good friend that he was. And everybody who goes down there, and if you knew Steve, you knew his favorite color was purple. And everybody's being asked, if you have something purple to wear, to please wear it. We, even though the listeners can't see us, our friends on Rogers might be able to, we are actually all in purple tonight. I've got a dark purple T-shirt on with a purple logo. You've got a purple pullover, and Sean's got a purple, I almost said jacket, shirt on there, looking quite
Polo
snazzy,
shirt.
Actually polo shirt. So, we know Steve, how much Steve loved the color purple, and this is what we did in honor of him tonight. And last night I had shawarma from Luigi's.
And reminder that if anybody complains about the cold winter this winter, that there's been a threat of being throat punched.
That was actually Steve did that. Steve made that threat. He said,
like
"Don't you
6
dare
days ago."
Yeah.
Last week.
6 days ago.
Last week, that if anybody complained about the cold, he was going to throat punch him this winter. Yeah.
Anyway, that's our friend, folks, and thank you for everybody who called in. Thank you for everybody who listened tonight. I'm going to leave this with one of my favorite quotes. Hopefully I'll be able to get it out, because it's quite an emotional quote. But last night I sat down and watched a couple of the old Star Trek movies. Even though Steve was a big Doctor Who fan, he was also a fan of Star Trek. So I think this is appropriate. But of all the souls I've ever met in my journeys, his was the most human.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good night, folks. We'll see you again next week. Say good night, geeks.
Good night.